Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video here on Marvel Strike Force. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a video that has been long requested from me for a while now. I just haven't, I've been on holidays, been sick and all that, and I haven't been able to get this done. But we're going to be doing a joint video here on the best characters that you can use for Dark Dimension 7 and 8. And a lot of the characters that are going to be in this list are going to be characters that you're probably going to be carrying on into Xavier. However, it is not mainly to talk about that. It is exclusively, largely, Mephisto and Odin, and the best characters that you can use to unlock them, because there's going to be a lot of crossover. And I do want to say from the beginning that a lot of these characters are going to be essentially with new era characters in mind, which is which is basically from Annihilators onwards. So that's kind of the timeline that we're looking at. We want to kind of be fresh. We want to be thinking forward. We want to be thinking about the characters that you're also using every single day. When it comes to PvE content. Those are the kind of characters that I like to upgrade. So, but before we get started with today's video, there is something that I want to share with you guys. Hey everybody, so you've probably known that I've been playing Raid Shadow Legends for a little while now. I'm going on about 4 months playing this game, and I am here to tell you why you should start playing Raid Shadow Legends. And coming soon, Raid is launching a brand new limited time event dungeon that's going to be around for a little while. I am super excited about this, and I am really excited to share this with some of you guys as well. If you jump into the game, this is going to be starting soon, and this is going to be an absolute blast. And for the first time ever, Raid is giving away a free Void Legendary Champion by the name of Tuhanarak here that you can see on the screen. All you have to do is input the code Desert Queen on a brand new account within the first 48 hours. And before we finish off, I do want to remind people that I do have the Boilon Raid Shadow Legends channel. So I've been putting out videos about 4 to 5 times a week here on this channel. There's tons of great resources, beginner guides, how to play a little bit better, how to improve, how to progress, some shard summoning videos, all sorts of types of videos here on the channel that you guys can check out if you're interested in jumping into Raid Shadow Legends. Of course, don't forget to use the QR code in the top right hand of the screen or in the link in the description down below to get yourself started, because now is the absolute best time to play, because you're going to get all sorts of new stuff. And if you download the game using the QR code in the top right hand of the screen, you are going to get yourself some more free champions, a free legendary, a literal, and 2 free epics, Tagore at account level 15 and Ugo at account level 30, combined with Tuhanarak from earlier on. That's going to give you an absolute amazing start in Raid Shadow Legends. So what are you waiting for? Alright, and let's get things started here with the planner, the Marvel Strike Force Planner online. It is a great resource for DD7, any Dark Dimensions, but we're going to be here obviously to talk about DD7, 8, and some of these are going to cross over into Xavier. So I want to get things started with it's non-legendary, non-mythic city. Now this can be city hero or city villains, but as I said, so this is going to be the requirement of 100 gear 19. I was like, how far back are we now? So this is for the Mephisto unlock, and I really want to use, I want to kind of use the characters that I'm going to be using every single day, which are going to be as many PvE raid characters as I can that I feel that are reasonable. And I think that the Vigilantes are some of the best characters right now that are being used in a DD7, DD8, in the Xavier Saga and all that. So it's a great double dipping. A lot of people are also using these 5 characters for Xavier Saga as well. I do kind of want to note some of the other characters that would be on this list. So we're going to scroll down a little bit. Maybe we'll zoom out on one. And you can kind of see some of the other city characters. But realistically, like, we'll talk about Odin in a bit, because there's some city villain is absolute trash. But I wouldn't do this particularly for DD7, which does require you to go to 100 G19 at a bare minimum. And so the kinds of characters that you're going to want to take in are going to be the characters that you're using every single day for raids. And that's going to be your Night Stalkers, and that's going to be your Vigilantes. And these are the characters that you will be using a lot. There's really not a ton of alternative. Spider Society are out for the most part, and we're kind of forced for Sinister 6 for DD8 for Odin. We'll talk about that. But realistically for the rest, there's really nothing else good. So I think that's the best of the bunch. Let's zoom in and talk about non-legendary, non-mythic, global for Dark Dimension 7. Now, I've decided to go for Orcus, because I still feel that this is some of the best stuff to go for, and they can clear it. You're going to be using them every single day for raids as well. And that's what I'm kind of here to do, is to maximize your value for leveling up these characters. It's even easier, actually, if you take them to 105 as well, because you're probably going to do that for the raids anyways to make it easier for you to sim. I'll let you know that when I went to 100 to 105 on my Orcus, it made it significantly easier to sim these nodes. So taking them and doing this for Dark Dimension 7 would just make it even easier to clear. I will talk about some alternatives though, and the reason why I decided to go with these characters. So as far as global goes, this does include heroes as well, at least in Dark Dimension 7. But the reason why I decided to go with Orcus is because they're a raid team, like I mentioned for City as well. Other options would be the Liberty members, because this is something that you probably will do for the Xavier Saga. And so there are some characters, obviously, like Peggy Carter, Falcon Joaquin, and Patriot. But in Dark Dimension, they are not getting their war buffs. Also, I do not put war and PvP pretty high up there for newer players as well. So I feel that to maximize your value, you want to use those raid characters where possible, because then you'll also use them in raids every single day. So there are quite a few potential options. Also, some people might be wondering why Apocalypse isn't on this list, because actually, sorry, it's not. I don't know, forget what I just said. You can't use Apocalypse. I'm thinking wrong Dark Dimension. That really is the option there. I mean, you could use Omega Raid Phoenix Force, I suppose, if you're really heavy into PvP, right? Like Omega Raid Phoenix Force. Make sure you're just using these characters that are new era, which are kind of newer. Thunderbolts, you can't use the full. You can't use the full team actually. So I don't know if this is a good idea. I'm not tested. You can't use Hyperion, so I don't know if this is a good idea or not. But the tried and true for me is going to be Orcus, which you're going to be taking up quite high, if not maxed out anyways, so it's a good double dipping. But we will be talking about Liberty in a little while, though, because a lot of people are using them, and including myself, I plan to use them for the Xavier Saga. It's just that they are a war-heavy team, and I don't think it's necessary for that level of investment for Dark Dimension 7 until you have more stuff later. And by that point, honestly, there might be newer characters to come out for those sections too. So that's just my thoughts there. Let's go over to, what happened to my planner? Oh, it just bugged out. Let's talk about Cosmic. So this one's non-legendary and non-mythic. Cosmic. And I'm still a big fan of the Annihilators because they work very, very well. Just as a group of three, these particular three also work very, very well. Kahori is a busted character who also synergizes well with Thanos Endgame for applying Exposed, and then Null. So if you do have Null by the time that you're getting ready for Dark Dimension 7, if you're in an alliance that is running D4, D5 Battle World, that kind of thing, that you can get Null unlocked within like 2-3 months, typically. If you're running Battle World, depending on what difficulty your alliance is running, that you're able to even potentially leech, shards for Null. This is an amazing setup here. We will take a look at some of the other characters in that section just so that you guys can see. And really the only other options would be like setting up for Starjammers, I suppose, if you really, really wanted to do that. But because it's a Cosmic Crucible team, and also as of recording, there is no way to get shards for Lilandra, I really can't justify putting her on a list when she's not available. So for that reason, I'm not doing the other Starjammers, which would be Howard the Duck and Havoc, who I guess you could buy through the Intel store. They're not available in the Battle World store or anything like that. Otherwise, there would just be Medusa and Miss Marvel Classic. But I'm still a strong believer in the Annihilators characters. I still think that they have value there, and which is why they're on the list for Dark Dimension 7. Now, finally, we have, or actually the fourth section, we have the Legendary section. Old Man Logan just barely made the cut. I told you that there's pretty much no old era characters except for Old Man Logan on this. In fact, Old Man Logan kind of gets dropped later on in the Xavier Saga as well. So bear in mind with this too. But these represents the best legendary characters as far as stats go that you can use. And that's going to be Quasar. Everyone should be unlocking Quasar now at this point. So I believe that it is fair to include him on this list. And then we also have Phoenix from the Phoenix Force, of course, and Omega Red Dark Phoenix. And then Invisible Woman, Shadow King, and Old Man Logan. Now, you might be wondering why Invisible Woman or Phoenix is even on this list. If we take a look at the alternatives, it is not very good. So here are the legendary alternatives. Star-Lord, not reworked. Shuri, old. Black Bolt, old era as well. Ebony Maw, old. Jubilee, Adam Warlock, Iron Man, old still. Nick Fury, Magneto, so nothing good, right? Doc Ock, Omega Red, these are all old era stat characters, every single one of them. And so I feel that it's better to stick with the new era stats because I still think that they're going to hold up much, much better. And for Green Goblin Classic and Black Cat, I think their days are done. Because at this point, their stats don't hold up. And also to do the trial, like to get the actual star levels on them, you have to do this, the trials in order to get them up to 7-star. Whereas it's significantly easier to get characters like Phoenix and Invisible Woman up to 7-star, and they're going to have massive stat improvements. So that's just my thoughts there. Let me know yours in the comments down below. When we finally get to Mythic, there's not much around this, honestly. There's a few things. Actually, I just realized that did I just include Mephisto in his own section? I totally did. So that's my bad there. So we have we're going to have to add one, because we have Apocalypse, Super Skrull, Ultimus, who we should have from like the previous ones, right? If you're climbing that way. Ultimus, yes, I have put Ultimus on this list because he is super easy to get stars for. He is super easy to get red stars for. It's dirt cheap. And I did actually use this, and it was just fine. If you look at some of the alternatives, I cannot justify Ultron, Doctor Doom, or Dormammu at this point in time. And obviously, I forgot that really you need 4 characters, so it has to be Kestrel actually at this point. Because you would use Mephisto on your second run, unless for some reason that you actually finish Odin in Dark Dimension 8 before you finish Mephisto. This might be possible, and so in that case, go with Odin, right? I'm just kind of assuming that you're kind of climbing one by one. But if you do have Odin unlocked first, great for you. And use Odin as your extra character. So just make sure you do that. So that's going to be it for Dark Dimension 7. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. We're going to jump ahead to Dark Dimension 8, which is for Odin. And we're going to talk about those characters that I've chosen. Now, some of these probably won't be of much surprise here. Non-legendary city hero. Once again, I'm going for the new 3 vigilante characters. Now, some alternatives that you could do is that you could add Punisher in here, but you cannot do Elektra because she's a villain character. So if you wanted to say remove Oath and just run Blade by himself, then you could throw in Punisher here as well, and it would be fine, I think. Also, you're running up... Actually, you know, it might even be a good idea to remove Oath and put in Punisher because, A, you need purple 3 for all... So the new requirement here for this is purple ISO level 3, which you are going to need for all the raids anyways. So the other reason is that you fight up, if I'm not mistaken, you fight up against a lot of Orcus and Sentinel characters. So having Punisher around to add that extra damage for villains would actually be a decent idea. So that is something that you could do as well here in City Hero. There's not a lot of other options, as we talked about in the city section. This is some of the worst, and this is where Marvel Strike Force needs the most improvement here, is that the city villain characters are absolute dog shit. There's really no other option. So we're kind of still looking at the Sinister Six. I would only level them as much as you need them for this section because they're otherwise dead, more or less. You can still use them in PvP, but realistically, they're all old era stat characters and they're kind of dying. So we have Red Goblin, Vulture, who is cheap to build, Lizard, Kraven, and Mysterio for the control. Mysterio has insane control on his special when you have 2 other Superior 6 members, and you're able to blind the entire field. So it's very, very helpful for the control aspect of this to have Mysterio for this. I do want to kind of just go back down to the city villain section, because that's it. That's it. What you see here, I suppose you could use Elektra, actually. And you do need Elektra for purple 3 for the raids. So, okay, my mistake. You could actually get rid of... I really like Red Goblin, but what you could do is you could remove one of these characters. You could remove Red Goblin for Elektra. I do like Red Goblin because I think that his debuffs are very good. But I think having Mysterio in here for the AoE blind and ability blocks, the extra ability blocks, is very helpful. So if you're going to remove anyone, it probably would be Red Goblin. Throw in Elektra. She's decent. She's single target damage, but her new era stats should carry a little bit. So do keep that in mind there. As far as non-legendary global hero goes, now this is kind of where I want to take some consideration to for the Xavier Saga a little bit here. And these are characters that you will use in the Xavier Saga, not necessarily Victoria Hand. So I'll leave that as kind of like an extra character there. But these 4 you will use quite a bit. So if we scroll down to Global Hero, there is a fair bit of option, but realistically, I think you want like more control. And the reason why I added Victoria Hand in is because she is a raid character, so you will actually use her quite a bit when it comes to daily raids. Otherwise, if you look at the rest of the list, I mean, what can I say? There are a bunch of new era stat characters that you could take. Obviously, there is more Thunderbolts characters that you could, but unfortunately for Dark Dimension 8, right, I think it's just Songbird and Victoria Hand because Hyperion is cosmic, and the others are villains. You Emma Frost X-Men, I heard, is also really good in here as well. So if you want to spread out your gearing, I suppose. But it doesn't really matter that much because it doesn't actually have a gear tier restriction. However, it is recommended that you do run gear tier 19 on these characters, but you just need the purple ISO 3, which was the big block for Odin. So I personally, this is what I would do, and I think it works just fine. Again, what character you want to use is entirely up to you. You could use Victoria Hand or Songbird. The reason why I put in Victoria Hand was that she does actually have healing that functions with the entire team, regardless of their team affiliation. It's all allies, which is why I decided to do that. But if you want a little bit more control, you might get Songbird as well. But unfortunately, I don't think that the Liberty characters play that well when it comes to healing other members outside of the Liberty team, unless I'm mistaken in their kit. So that's just my thoughts there in terms of the characters that I would take for Global Hero. Now we have Global Villain. This is going to be pretty... Actually, yeah. So we're going to get to Global Villain. Pretty simple. It's literally the exact same 5 characters from Dark Dimension 7. It's the Orcus 5. Again, what you could do, and it's entirely up to you, is that you could replace Omega Sentinel with Apocalypse. But if you have these characters at level 105, there was one part of Global Villain that was a little challenging, and that was there was a super scroll on the node, on one of the later nodes. And it made it really easy for you to use, say, Apocalypse's alt and then punching him in the face. That's the big thing about Apocalypse, is that he can do that, and it does a big chunk of damage. That being said, if you save your cooldowns appropriately, you can put a trauma using Nimrod also on that super scroll, and Omega Sentinel allows your characters to basically stay alive forever. So I think it's very much still possible to do it with these 5, that you don't actually need to include Apocalypse in this section. And Apocalypse is kind of like slowly falling off as well. I mean, he's still used, obviously, in PvP, but it's not as required other than for Dark Dimension 7, in my opinion. And nobody is using Apocalypse in the Xavier Saga either. So as far as other options go, I would just stick with the synergy, right, that you would get out of the Orcus 5. There are other options with Omega Red, Dark Phoenix, Scarlet Witch Zombie, and Taskmaster, I suppose, is somewhere in here as well. I forgot where he is. Is he 90-90? Really? No way. It's crazy. I mean, not that you need that, because Dark Dimension 8 is all about Purple 3. And then finally, the final section, we have Legendary or Cosmic. And again, I've kind of included Quasar in here because I think it's appropriate at this time that he is available now, that he is a better worthwhile addition than Old Man Logan, in my opinion, because if you're using Mephisto, also you might have lower stars on Old Man Logan than you would for Quasar 2. Old Man Logan's an old era stat character. He is a great character, but when you're using with Mephisto, he cannot revive, so if he dies, he's dead for good. And so these are the characters that are most likely to have the longest lifespan, like they're actually going to survive the nodes, and the ones that I personally still recommend, Thanos Endgame, because of his exposed mechanic and energy battering. This is so important. And then we have Shadow King, Quasar, Mephisto, and Null. And if we take a look at some of the other characters that you could use, obviously once you clear for the first time, you're probably going to want to include Odin in there. But as far as some of the others, I just can't really justify it a ton stand alone. Other characters that you could use that would have been included, that I had included in Dark Dimension 7, would have been Kohori. I think that would probably be the only other character that I could add to this list if you wanted to trade somebody out. But aside from that, I can't really justify any of the other old era stat characters. And so I think Kohori would be your best bet there if you had to choose another character. I just really wanted to maximize the total usage that you would get out of these characters in terms of taking them up and still using them beyond. I think that these represent some of the best characters that you will use and the best double dipping, especially in this city hero grouping, which you can use in Dark Dimension 7, and also the global section with Orcus. There's a lot of double dipping between Dark Dimension 7 and Dark Dimension 8. So that's going to be the end of this video, everyone. I hope that this was helpful. I know that people were requesting it for quite some time, so here it is, my picks for Dark Dimension 7 and 8. And honestly, a lot of those characters you're still going to use, depending on how long it takes you to get to the Xavier Saga, that you probably will still use them there because they get buffed there. In particular, especially Vigilantes and Liberty do get buffed up quite significantly in the Xavier Saga. So that's going to be it for now, everyone. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are, if there's something you feel that I missed, that I should have included, or some characters that I should have added. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.